Hi, this is Janie, and I wanted to show you how to make a peekaboo card today. And it's a card like this that the pieces are suspended with acetate in the middle of the card, and you can push and pull and there's movement. This was an airplane card I made. This is one that I made with Graphics 45 paper with fairies and bunnies. And because I'm holding it at an angle, you can't really, it's getting caught. But when you hold it straight up, it's fine. So what you do is get a front and back piece that has a window in the middle. This one I made a bracket shape that is about 7 by 5.5. You can make it any size you want. This was just the size I chose to go with. And then I scored it. Let me show you on this other piece. And then I scored it at 1 and 1.5. And then I just flip it over to do the other side at 1 and 1.5. Just because I don't want to sit there and measure it. And you do that to the front and the back pieces. And I've already folded that one. Let me show you how to fold this one. And then to fold it, the front part you're going to fold down like that, the first line closest to the window, and the other side you're going to fold like this so that you get that shape. And do this side also. This first fold will go down and the other fold will go like this. So that when you glue these two pieces together, or adhere these two pieces together, it will look like that on the ends. It will look like this when you're through. If you had something really dimensional that you wanted to put in the middle, you might make the distance between these score lines bigger. And then, if you get the cut files from my blog, I have these pieces and some decorative pieces for the front. And I'm just going to glue this piece with regular Scotch glue. And I embossed it and inked it with distress ink. I believe it was tumbled glass. And I used a little bit of antique linen just to take the whiteness out of it so it wasn't quite as white. And I kind of made a mess, but it does dry clear. In the cut files there is a thicker bracket and a thinner one. You could use the thick one or the thin one, or you could double them up. You could put the thick one in one color and the thinner bracket opening thing in a different color. And I have not got that straight because I'm trying to hold it away from me. Wouldn't you know, the minute you try to do it on camera, you can't do it straight. There. And also in the cut files, I have a bracket piece like this that would normally fit on the end like that if you want to use it. I didn't want it for this particular card, but on this one I could have used something like that. But this one, I took the cutout that was in the center and cut it about 1 inch wide from this end and just put that on either side, just because it was too much blue at the time. And it's embossed paper. It's the basil dotted paper, but it was just too much blue. I needed to break it up some. But do what you like, do what works for you. On this one, I took a strip of the Once Upon a Springtime paper and just cut it and put it on that fold. It would be this part of the card, just to decorate it. So whatever works for you. And then you're going to get your pieces. I have butterflies, and what I did was I cut the butterfly pieces twice, and they don't want to pick up now. I cut a front and or a bottom layer and a top layer up for them, and then I've attached them to the acetate that I'll show you in just a second, and then I've put some adhesive and attached tiny micro marbles in the center. But if you had stickles or anything like that, that would work great. So let me show you how I did that. I just used Zot's adhesive, and I picked up my acetate strip. I'm sorry, I didn't mention those. These are acetate strips. You could cut plastic or packaging. You could also use a transparency and just cut a strip. I take one that's about a half an inch wide, and I make it longer than I know it's going to need to be. It needs to be long enough to show through your window, for one end to be here showing through your window, and the other end to go where the two cards will meet on the ends. But I make it longer just so I have room to play with it and position it how I want it, and then I'll cut it off. But to get started, I go ahead and put one of the ends on the Zot and then peel that up, and then I will put my bottom layer of the butterfly down, and I think I'm going to have him tilt a little bit. And then I'll take my top layer, and I'd use 2 layers just because I want them a little more dimensional. And for the butterflies, I fold them in half and barely press on the middle to kind of flatten it out a little bit on that body part. And then I take a little glue bottle, glue right along the center, like that. And then I'll press it down on this butterfly, and then kind of open the wings to make sure I've got it straight, so that you just have glue in that very center part so that your wings can open up like that. And then for the micro marbles, I have paper glaze. It's Aleene's paper glaze. It's about like glossy accents. I don't know what they're actually made from, but it's about the same thing. And I put a line just right in the middle for the body. And then I take micro marbles. They're little clear beads that do not have a hole in the middle, so technically they're not beads. They're little round marbles, but they're really tiny. They come in a bag, or when I purchased them, they came in a bag, and I just put them in an extra glitter container that I had left over because it was easier to handle than that bag. And I just pour some on top of it and let them fall off, and I'll let that dry. And it looks white right now just because the glue is wet, but when it dries, it's clear. I just thought that was a nice accent. You could put stickles or rhinestones or thread, anything you wanted, or just leave it like it was. And I'll take care of that later. So now I have my pieces, and I want to kind of decide how they're going to go. So I'm going to just lay this on top to position them to see how they'll show through that window. And I want that one to be about like that. And this piece needs to come down some. I don't want them all lined up in there in like a straight line. I want them kind of off it from each other. Okay, I like that. So what I'm going to do is decide where that would go. And just so everyone can see it, I'll put a mark there. I know I'm going to need to cut it about right there. And this one I'll need to cut about here. And this one I'll cut just the end off. And that way it gave me enough room to play around with it before I cut it, so that I knew it wasn't too short. And ask me how I know about that, because I have cut them too short before ahead of time and then didn't like it. I went ahead and stuck red line tape down. I'm just going to peel that off. And I'm going to double check. I think I wanted them about like this. And without actually putting them on the adhesive, I'm going to hold this up again and decide that was about right. I'm going to make this one come over a little. Okay. And I'm just going to stick them onto the adhesive. And then to put the top on, I'm just going to take one side and fold it over where I'm just dealing with this edge, because that's the part that gets glued down. And here's my tape, but in here didn't get covered with that because I chose to have a decorative edge. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue just on that part. I'm just working on the part that looks like that. And then I'm going to match the edges up. And I didn't get it exactly straight, but I will show you how to fix that. And then I'm going to put glue on this edge. And again, you want to start by matching your edges up so that you know that it's where you want it. You wouldn't have to use red line tape, but I think it helps because you're trying to attach acetate and sandwich it in here, and I just think that helps grab the acetate better. Okay, I didn't do such a great job because I was trying to hold it away from me, but let me show you what I would do. Right here, where that doesn't actually meet up, I didn't get the edges right, and right over here, I would just go in with scissors and trim it. Just like with regular cards where you would trim something off the edge. So this was the finished card. And I added a few little paper butterflies down here that I punched out to add some interest. And I didn't mention before, this was K & Company paper that was double-sided. This was an airplane image that I got during a swap that I was in, and the clouds were from a greeting card that a friend of mine sent to me that the clouds were glittered on it, and I just, it was a store-bought card, and I just cut them out and put them on here. And on this one I did spend a little more time to make sure the clouds weren't hitting each other, and I did put a few clouds that are stationary in there just to give it a little more interest. They're attached to the back. And I took, for this one, I used this bracket, and I took the insert that would have been right here in the middle and cut an inch from the edge and put them on either side just to give that a little more interest. And I have another video showing showing different aspects of this one, because there's so much involved in it. This was Graphics 45 papers that I cut out and pieced together to make this. So I hope you go have fun with a peekaboo card of your own. If you go to my blog, I have the cut files for this, as well as the PDF templates that you can print out and use as a pattern, or you can print onto your actual patterned paper and cut them out by hand. So have fun, happy crafting. Bye.